I'm from 90 minutes away-ish, depending on the traffic. And I remember coming to Sparks game as a kid, and my mom would take me, and I'm just super grateful. There is a level of intensity and work ethic that I do bring to the table, but really just I'm grateful for this opportunity to show that being one of the best players in the world.
The Las Vegas Aces dynasty is crumbling, and Kelsey Plum just made it official in her first press conference with the LA Sparks. She didn't hold back, taking subtle but clear shots at her former team.
You had some say over where you wound up as a result of this trade, and you chose the Sparks. What sold you on LA?
The vision. There's a ton of talent in the front court. Obviously, I have a history playing with De'Erica, whom I love, so that was a big part, but also just coach's vision, you know, new coach, new GM, new philosophy, and to be honest, opportunity to lead, opportunity to be one of the best players in the league at a different level and a different scale, and just kind of been chomping at the bit. So preparation, I've been playing high-level basketball for a long time, but it's an opportunity to take it to another level.
5 key players have jumped ship, and controversy is swirling around A.A. Wilson and Becky Hammond. What went wrong in Vegas? Why are top players leaving? And is Plum hinting at deeper issues inside the AC's locker room? Today we break down the shocking fallout, Plum's pointed comments, and how this could change the WNBA forever.
You are a proven scorer in the WNBA, but it sounds like you got something to prove running the point. Is that why is that? Why does that register with you the way that it has in the comments that you made?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like, I know I've always been able to play make, but my team and like the positions I've been put in, I've played the two. I played off the ball. I played, you know, a lot of, you know, catch and shoot and things like that. But for me, I can put it on the floor, and I know that, you know, the opportunity to have the ball in my hands a little bit more and make plays is something that I'm very excited about, but I know I have and I've worked on. You know, I said it earlier at the press conference, like, people forget I played the point for Team USA.
The off-season has been full of surprises, but no one expected Plum to make such a bold statement in her first press conference with the LA Sparks when she said, "I've been treated better than I ever have as a WNBA player." Fans immediately knew she was taking a shot at her former team. This wasn't just an innocent comment about her excitement for a fresh start. It was a clear indication that things in Vegas weren't as perfect as they seemed.
3-time All-Star, 2-time champion. So you're a very proven commodity in the WNBA, so you're going to be counted on to provide leadership. How do you convey leadership to a young team?
I think it's just about consistency, and I think showing up every day. And I remember when I was young, as a rookie, just seeing pros, vets, show up consistently and perform, right? And there's no, you know, you can't have an off day when you're a leader, right? It's not about you. And so I think learning that through time, that's been something that I'm really excited to take here to LA. And I know that I'm a little bit of a different style. You know, we talked about it earlier back there. You know, I play with joy. I have a lot of flair to me, but you know, that's who I am, and that's kind of how I've always been, and so I'm going to continue to be.
Plum has been with the Aces since she was drafted in 2017. She was there for their highs and lows, from their early struggles to their championship runs. She played alongside stars like R. Wilson, Chelsea Gray, and Jackie Young, but suddenly she was ready to walk away, and she wasn't the only one.
You know, I know that this is not going to be an easy road. I know that this is, I probably took the path of most resistance. But that's what's exciting to me, because that's what I've always done, and I've always flourished in that. So it's like the hotter the fire, you know, the brighter the diamond.
When that ball goes up in the air against the Aces, is there going to be a little something extra there for you?
I mean, there's some extra at the pickup game we had today. So, so for me, if anything, there's just love. I'm super grateful for the time that I've had in Las Vegas.
The Aces have lost 5 key players this offseason, a mass exodus that no one saw coming. Kate Martin, Sydney Coulson, Tiffany Hayes, Alicia Clark, and of course Kelsey Plum all gone. That's not just normal offseason movement. That's a complete collapse of the team's depth, chemistry, and culture. So what's happening in Vegas? Is this just a case of salary cap restrictions forcing tough roster decisions, or is there something much deeper going on, something that pushed Kelsey, Plum, and others to leave? Let's break it all down. When a team wins 2 championships in a row, you expect players to stick around. Winning franchises tend to attract talent, not lose it. That's why it's so strange to see the Aces falling apart so quickly. It would make sense if 1 or 2 players left for better contracts or bigger roles, but losing 5 key pieces in one off season, that's a sign of something bigger.
playing for Becky, playing with Asia, playing with Chelsea, playing with Jack. I could go down the line of so many players that I played with. Obviously winning championships and having great memories, but more than that, just really the ability to be able to develop. You know, I think there was a time where I was coming off the bench, right? And there was a time where, you know, it was a little bit of uncertain about my future in terms of where I could be in this league. And so for me to get that opportunity and to be able to win at that level, I'm grateful. So there's no, you know, anything like that, but life, there's a new chapter and we're here. And I'm ready.
Kelsey Plum's comments only add to the mystery. She didn't just say she was happy in La. She said she's been treated better than ever before. That suggests that she wasn't happy in Vegas, that something was happening behind the scenes that made her one out. One of the biggest theories floating around is that AIA Wilson's growing dominance may have overshadowed other stars. There's no denying that Wilson is the face of the Aces. She's a two-time MVP, a superstar in the heart of the franchise, but could her presence have made it difficult for other players to shine? Plum has always been a vocal leader, someone who plays with intensity and confidence, but despite her impressive stats averaging 17, 8 points, 2 assists and 6 rebounds per game, she was never quite seen as a star of the Aces, with Wilson leading the way and Chelsea Gray running the offense. Plum's role may have felt limited in La. Things are different. The Sparks are in rebuilding mode, looking for a player to take charge. Plum has the chance to be the leader, the face of the franchise, and that's a role she's been craving. She even said in her press conference that she's been chomping at the bit for this opportunity, but it's not just about her wanting a bigger role. There are also serious questions about how the Aces are run as an organization. For starters, their front office is a mess. They fired general manager Natalie Williams months ago, and they still haven't hired a replacement. That's unheard of for a championship-level team. A franchise without a GM is like a ship without a captain. It's directionless. Who's making the big decisions? Who's negotiating contracts, building the roster, and setting the long-term vision? Rumors are swirling that head coach Becky Hammond wants to take on the DU role of head coach and general manager. If that's true, it raises even more concerns. Hammond is an incredible coach, but should she really be handling front office decisions too? That's a massive workload, and it could be a sign that the organization is struggling to find the right leadership. Then there's the Dika Hammy controversy. Hammy, a former ASIS player, filed a complaint against the team claiming she was mistreated after announcing her pregnancy. The WNBA took her claim seriously enough to fine the Aces $500,000 and strip them of their 2025 first-round draft pick. That's one of the harshest penalties in league history, and it painted the Aces in a terrible light. Ham's allegations suggest a culture problem within the organization. If a team mistreats a veteran player like that, what does it say about how they treat others? Could that have contributed to players like Plum deciding to leave? And let's not forget about the salary cap investigation. The WNBA is currently looking into whether the Aces provided undisclosed benefits to players. Essentially, they are being accused of illegally paying players outside of their contracts, giving them extra perks under the table. If the league finds proof of this, the Aces could face even more severe penalties. All of these factors combined create a picture of a franchise in turmoil. The Aces went from being a dream destination for WNBA players to a team that's losing talent left and right. Meanwhile, while the Aces are falling apart, the Indiana Fever are rising. For years, the Fever were the worst team in the league. They struggled to attract talent, they lost games, and they seemed stuck in a never-ending rebuild. But that's all changing now. It started when they drafted Caitlin Clark, the most exciting prospect in years. Clark is a generational talent, and she's already changing the way people look at the Fever. Suddenly, Indiana is a desirable destination, but it's not just about Clark. The Fever have been making smart moves, bringing in experienced veterans like Natasha Howard, Danana Boner, and Sophie Cunningham. They are not just trying to be competitive, they are building a championship contender, and the best part, players want to be there. That's the biggest difference between the Fever and the Aces right now. The Fever are creating a positive team culture, a place where players feel valued and excited about the future. The Aces, on the other hand, are losing trust. Kelsey Plum's comments weren't just about her excitement for a new opportunity. They were a warning sign. They were a message to the rest of the league that things in Vegas aren't as great as they seem. If the Aces don't fix their internal problems, if they don't rebuild trust with their players, this dynasty could be over before it even fully started. And the scariest part for Aces fans, this might just be the beginning, because if Kelsey Plum is speaking out now, who's next? Are more former players going to start revealing what really went on behind the scenes? Will other WNBA stars start avoiding Vegas as a free Agent destination, the Aces are on the brink of losing everything they built, and if they don't make changes fast, they might not recover. If Kelsey Plum's words were the first sign of trouble, then the continuing fallout from the Aces offseason is proof that something is seriously wrong in Vegas. The reigning WNBA champions should be preparing for another title run, yet they are scrambling to fill roster spots while dealing with internal chaos, and the biggest question on everyone's mind is what went wrong. In part 1, we covered Kelsey Plum's eye-opening comments about feeling better treated in La than she ever was in Las Vegas. We discussed the mass exodus of players, the Aces front office dysfunction, and the growing rumors of internal tension. But there's still more to unpack, and the deeper we go, the more it looks like the Aces dynasty is falling apart faster than anyone expected. Let's start with AEL Wilson. Wilson is the heart and soul of the Aces. She's a two-time MVP, a dominant force on the court in the face of the franchise, but with great power comes great responsibility, and some are wondering if her leadership or lack thereof is part of the reason so many players are leaving. There's no doubt that Wilson is one of the most respected players in the league, but could a rising stardom be overshadowing her teammates? During the Aces championship runs, everything revolved around Wilson. That's not necessarily a bad thing. She's an elite talent, and teams build around their stars, but when other stars feel like their contributions aren't valued, it can create resentment, and that's where Kelsey Plum's departure starts to make more sense. Plum has always been a competitor, a player who thrives on intensity and leadership, but in Vegas she was never the primary leader. That role belonged to Wilson. Even when Plum was performing at an elite level, she was still seen as a secondary star, someone who complemented Wilson rather than led in her own right. Now, with the LA Sparks, she has a fresh start, a chance to take on a bigger role, and more importantly, a chance to step out of Wilson's shadow. Her comments about feeling more valued in La weren't just about the organization, they were about her role as a player, and she's not the only one who felt this way. Sydney Coulson's departure was another major loss for the Aces, not because of her stats, but because of her impact in the locker room. Coulson was Wilson's best friend and one of the team's biggest energy boosters, yet even she chose to leave. That's a red flag. If Wilson's closest friend on the team didn't want to stay, what does that say about the team's culture? She's going to be guarded by elite-level perimeter defenders who won't give her an inch of space. She's also going to face more contact. In college, she got a lot of calls when defenders made even minor contact, but in the pros, the refs let more physicality go, and she'll have to learn how to play through that. So while Clark's offensive skill set is built for the WNBA, she'll still need to adjust to the physicality and defensive pressure that comes with playing at this level. But here's where Indiana's off-season moves come into play. The reason Clark won't struggle as much as some other rookies is because she won't have to do everything herself. She'll have Aaliyah Boston controlling the paint, meaning defenses can't completely key in on Clark. She'll have Dan Annabona as another scoring option, taking some of the pressure off her to be the main source of offense every game, and she'll have experienced players around her who can teach her the little things, how to handle physical defenses, how to pace herself over a long WNBA season, and how to adjust to different defensive schemes. That's what separates this Fever team from the young teams of the past that struggle to develop their stars. They aren't just drafting talent and hoping for the best. They are building a system where their young players can actually succeed. But here's the next question: how does this Fever team match up against the league's best? Because while Indiana has massively improved, they are still stepping into a league where teams like Las Vegas and New York have already built dominant rosters. Let's take a look at the best teams in the WNBA and where Indiana fits into the mix. Las Vegas Aces, they are still the team to beat. A.A. Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, and Jackie Young form the core of a back-to-back championship team, and they still have one of the most dangerous offenses in the league. While their depth took a hit in free agency, they still have the experience, chemistry, and elite-level talent to be the favorites. If Indiana wants to compete with Vegas, they'll need to prove they can defend elite perimeter scorers, because the Aces will absolutely test their defense every single possession. New York Liberty, another super team built around Brianna Stewart-Jay and Kel Dones and Sabrina Ionescu. The Liberty are deep, versatile, and experienced, and they play a style of basketball that will challenge Indiana's defense. For Indiana to beat a team like New York, they'll need to rely on their speed and three-point shooting to stretch the floor and force New York's bigger front court to guard the perimeter. Connecticut Sun, the Sun have been one of the most consistent teams in the league, with Alyssa Thomas leading the charge. They play physical, defensive-minded basketball, and this is the kind of team that will try to wear down Caitlin Clark with aggressive, in-your-face defensive. Clark and the Fever want to compete against teams like Connecticut. They'll have to prove they can handle that kind of pressure over a full 4 quarters. So where does Indiana fit into all this? Right now, they aren't title contenders just yet, but they could make the playoffs for the first time in 7 years, and that alone would be a huge step forward. Realistically, they are in the middle of the pack with a high ceiling depending on how quickly Clark and Boston develop into one of the best duos in the league. But here's what makes them so dangerous. They aren't just building for this season, they are building for the future. If Clark lives up to the hype at Boston, keeps developing into an MVP caliber big, and if Indiana keeps making smart roster moves, this team could be a real championship contender within the next few years. And that's why ESPN gave them the highest grade in free agency, because they aren't just making moves for today, they are setting themselves up for long-term success. The only question now is how fast can she take over? Some rookies need years to adjust, others come in and dominate right away. Caitlin Clark has a chance to be one of the rare players who changes a franchise from day one if she plays up to her potential. If Indiana's roster clicks the way it's supposed to, and if they can hold their own against the league's best teams, then we might be talking about one of the biggest rookie impacts in WNBA history. And the scary part, this is just the beginning. The WNBA is about to change forever, and Caitlin Clark is leading the way. So there you have it. Caitlin Clark is coming into the WNBA with the perfect setup for success, and ESPN is already calling the Indiana Fever the biggest winners of free agency. Do you agree with their grade, or do you think another team should have taken the top spot? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the latest WNBA news.